Hi there. First National Bank has a new branch at Airport West in Accra. Let me show you how to get there from the National Theatre. Head towards the Ridge Runabout. At the runabout, take the third exit onto Castle Road towards Ridge Hospital. Exit Castle Road at the next runabout traffic light near National Pensions Regulatory Authority onto the Hila-Liman Highway. Continue on Hila-Liman Highway and after the Olusegun Obasanjo Way intersection, branch right onto Patrice Lumumba Street. Turn left onto Volta Street just after the National Service Secretariat's headquarters. Turn right onto Kofi Annan Street. Arrive at First National Bank at Airport West. And we're here. Make sure you visit this branch whenever you are in the area. Hi there. First National Bank has a new branch at Tema Community 1. Let me show you how to get there from Chinese Court. Head south on Hospital Road bypass toward Republic Road. Turn left onto Republic Road. At the runabout, take the first exit onto Harbour Road. At the runabout, take the second exit and stay on Harbour Road. At the runabout, take the first exit onto Kwaki Road. Turn left towards Melcom before the post office traffic light. And we are at the Community 1 branch of First National Bank. Make it a point to visit anytime you are around. Hi there. I'm in Kumasi and I want to show you First National Bank's new branch in Edu. Let me show you how to get there from the Kumasi City Hall. Head northwest on Lake Road toward Yasantua Road. Then turn left to stay on Lake Road at Asafo. At the GRA runabout, continue straight onto Osei-Tutu the First Avenue. Turn left onto Nkwantanan Street near Abinchi Market. Turn right onto Prempeh the First Street near Silver Star Limited. Keep straight on Hapa Road or Old Bekwa Road. Take a sharp left at the Presbyterian Retreat Center and turn right. And we are here. Edu, how can we help you? Hi there. I'm in Takrade. Let me show you how to get to First National Bank's new branch in Takrade from the Takrade Mall. Come with me. Head south on Cape Coast Takrade Road or Independence Avenue. At the Kwame Nkrumah runabout, take the fourth exit onto Cape Coast Station Road or Park Grants Boulevard. At the Park Grants runabout, take the first exit onto John Saba Boulevard or Old John Saba Road. Enter Market Circle and head towards the post office. And we're here. Takrade, how can we help you?
Hello everyone, my name is Dominic Adu. I am the Chief Executive Officer of GHL Bank. From our humble beginnings as Ghana Home Loans, we've introduced innovative home finance services that made it easy for thousands of Ghanaians to acquire homes they could call their own. Our razor-sharp focus on satisfying the needs of our customers and our core values kept us growing by leaps and bounds. And in time, we became a universal bank, offering mainly retail banking services in addition to the home finance services that we've become so well known for. Today, we're excited, happy, and proud that we've found a partner with whom we're going to grow stronger from here on and ever after. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce my good friend and colleague, Richard Hudson.
Thank you, Dominic. Hi all, I'm Richard Hudson, the current CEO of First National Bank Ghana. Like Dominic, I'm extremely excited by the opportunities this deal presents. First National Bank Ghana is a subsidiary of the FirstRand Group, which is one of the largest financial institutions in Africa and which can trace its roots back to 1838. We are very proud of our history, but even more energized by what the future holds for us. We have been in Ghana for just under 5 years, and although we are very pleased with the progress made, the injection of significant additional capital meant that we needed to ramp up the business to best utilize this valuable resource. And so we started the search for a bank to partner with, which led to discussions with GHL Bank, and it immediately became very apparent that we had a lot in common. Both banks are passionate about helping our customers to achieve personal and corporate financial success, and most importantly, both embrace innovation as a strategic imperative. It was on this basis that we decided to join together to share a common vision of being the best bank in Ghana. We are truly delighted at forging a relationship with Ghana's foremost and best-known mortgage service provider. It is a partnership forged in innovation, customer satisfaction, and the delivery of world-class banking services.
And for us at GHL, we're more than delighted to be teaming up with a multinational bank like the First National Bank. We believe the merger is great for our staff, our shareholders, our customers, and the entire banking industry in Ghana. Our combined staff strength and our increased branch network means that the new and bigger bank will be closer to you, bringing our products and services to your doorsteps. Our ultimate objective is to be your preferred partner in your quest for individual financial independence and business success.
We have great teams, and I'm really looking forward to leveraging off each other's strengths to build a much better, much larger bank together.
This is the beating heart of an African ready for what is next. And this is the sound of a Ghanaian drum setting the pace. Together, it creates a seamless rhythm of what is and what is to come. A sense of purpose which says that there is more to the Ghanaian than a dream. Ghana always stands ready, and First National Bank is happy to invest, partner, and help Ghana to discover more. This is why we are happy to announce our acquisition and subsequent merger with GHL Bank, Ghana's leading provider of mortgage financing. A merger which delivers an opportunity to discover more growth and prosperity for all Ghanaians. Shh. Listen to the heart beat to the rhythm of the drums. It is time for Ghanaians to discover more together. First National Bank and GHL Bank come together as First National Bank. How can we help you?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Maiden First National Bank Ghana Property Developers Forum. Many thanks to our developers and agents for making this a point to join us here today, albeit virtual from all around the world. Now, these are hard but interesting times, and we cannot, however, downplay the importance of a meeting like this to appreciate how we can drive our businesses forward. My name is Michelle Atto, and today I have the exciting task of steering the discourse to help us all solve the housing challenges and deficit while pushing business prospects and growth. I look forward to being part of the solutions to meet the housing needs of Ghana, and I hope you are too. At First National Bank, we always ask, how can we help you? Before we kick off, I'll be grateful if you can please pay attention and comply to the following house rules. Now, please keep your microphones on mute. Background noise may disrupt the meeting and experience for everyone and anyone that may want to ask any vital information. Kindly be in a quiet location away from pets, children, etc. And please turn off your TV and any music that may disrupt the frequency. So please help us identify who you are by typing out your name, your role, and the organization you're representing in the chat room above. Before we start, we would like you to make all of your comments, ask all your questions, and if you have any uncertainty, please do not hesitate to ask any questions for clarifications. Now, there is a time for Q&A at the end of the sessions. You may unmute your mic if you are notified to ask your questions in the chat room, and please be open to hearing other people's perspectives. Please remember that this event will be packaged and accessible upon request. Thank you once again for joining us. And as we want to begin the event this morning, please let me introduce to you Delali Jijenyo, who is the Head of Marketing and Corporate Affairs at First National Bank, as to what we should be expecting today. Now, did I pronounce your name properly? That's Jijenyo.
You did right. You did right.
How are you, Delali?
I'm good, thank you. And thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So why are we having this Property Developers Forum, and what is it all about? What should we be expecting out of this event today?
So, Michelle, I mean, if you look at housing affordability in Ghana, it's a major issue here. And it's actually a main focus in terms of policy debate. And if you also look at the deficit we sit with as a country, north of about 1.9 million, you would realize that we have a huge task to deal with housing as far as Ghana is concerned. But then again, 2019, if you look at what the government of Ghana did, they announced about a 1 billion Ghana cedi fund under the Mortgage Finance and Housing Fund, which is a right step in the direction to help bridge the gap in the financing of housing in Ghana. I mean, our position as a bank with our stakeholders who have joined us all over the world this morning, which we say a very big thank you to them, is to see how we can help bridge this big gap we find ourselves. There's no better and strong player to partner in this process than our developers, and that's the reason why we're here, to have this important discussion with them.
Now, this is the very first of its kind. Should we be expecting more of these forums to have these sort of interactive and live, real-time discussions on the subject?
Yes, I mean, Michelle, if you look at our client engagement model, it has changed in the last 6 months for very obvious reasons. And for the circumstances we find ourselves, we can only harness the power of technology to reach most of our clients and our engaged, our stakeholders going forward. And I must say to you that this is just one of many, and we should expect a lot more of these engagements. We would also try as much as possible to combine the best of both worlds. We would have our usual face-to-face interaction and also harness technology to reach most of our customers wherever they find themselves.
So what should we be expecting today? I mean, we all know that this has been anticipated. A lot of people have, joined in, they've registered, they've attended. What should we be expecting? Because we know that it's about property development, but what should we be really expecting?
Now, I mean, I'm equally excited as you are, and I'm sure our audiences out here are also excited. If you look at the content we've put together for today's event, it's very packed and very exciting. And I'm more than sure that by the time we leave here, our developers would have taken home a lot of key insights from this discussion. I mean, the lineup of activities is very clear. We have Kojo Adekufo, who heads our mortgage business, and I'm sure you've met Kojo before.
I have.
Very interesting chap in terms of mortgages. Knowledge in the industry is quite deep. He will join you later to discuss the broader and the new renewed First National Bank mortgage financing project or business. Kofi Pienim, another strong guy in the global market space, is also going to speak to you about in terms of solutions around treasury, global market, and forex and all that. My colleague Ifwa, who looks after our sales business, is also ready to speak to you about our retail offering, and I'm sure you'll be excited, especially for the employees of our developers. And we're also going to be joined by Maka Champon, who looks after our commercial business portfolio. At the end of it all, we'll all come back on stage and we'll take all the questions our developers may have. So it's an exciting almost 1.5 hours, and I can't wait for this to start, Michelle.
Well, I'm sure all of the developers and customers and agents, brokers, everyone that has tuned in up until now is looking forward to actually have this discussion with First National Bank. Thank you so much, Delali, for joining us. But before we actually begin, I'd like us to take a short trip to South Africa to see the beautiful architecture and sites. Now, at First National Bank, we have a wealth of infrastructure in the countries that we operate in worldwide. We would like to show you a little bit of that. We'll be right back after this break.
This is Ben from Lighting 360, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to make your own virtual tour regardless of the 360 camera you own. So here are my weapons of choice. I have a nice cheap 360.
back, now I'm sure that must have been breathtaking. Quite a number of places that you've seen in South Africa, and I've been there myself, and it is a beautiful country. But moving straight into our main stage session for this morning, I've been joined by someone that's known to most of you, Mr. Kojo Adukufor, who's the Executive Head of Home Loans. Welcome, Kojo.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're a familiar face to me because I remember seeing you way back at Ghana Home Loans about 7 years ago.
Right, that's right.
So you haven't quite transitioned into anything different per se, have you?
Myself? Well, I've got a bit of grey hair and lost a bit of hair, but otherwise.
Signs of wisdom.
Signs of wisdom, signs of wisdom.
But for this particular session that we're in at the moment, I'd like us to delve into some of the questions that most of our viewers have and most of our potential customers also have, because there's a fear element about mortgage and the whole, sector of acquiring property. Tell us why this forum is so important and what are we to be expecting today?
Right, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
So this forum has been organized over the years.
Yes.
And it's usually the way we kick off our annual schedule. Beginning of the year, we meet developers who are very number one stakeholders,
yes,
and explain to them how the previous year went and how the coming year is supposed to play out. So we get together and tell them what we have in store for them. But more importantly,
yes,
we get feedback from them on what we've been doing right and where we've been caught short. So for me, it's the most important item on my calendar every year, meeting the developers and hearing from them what we can do to make their lives easier.
Now, ever since the merger of Ghana Home Loans and First National Bank, that has become a wonderful marriage, what has changed in terms of the home loans business portfolio? Because, I mean, has it transitioned into anything radically different from what it was? What is there that's new for developers at the moment?
Right, so as a result of the merger, what used to be Ghana Home Loans and then GHL Bank has now been added to the First National Bank platform.
Okay.
So it's more but better,
Okay.
So it's what everybody, all the developers who've been with us for a while will be aware of, on a much stronger platform, which is the First National Bank platform. In terms of products, again, same products, but on a stronger platform, so delivery should be much, much better going forward. And also, as far as some of my colleagues will be here later to talk about the other sister business units, retail, treasury, commercial, that help drive the home loans business. So it's all in the delivery, and I'm sure our partners will see that in the coming months and years.
Now, we're within a very different time or an era at the moment where COVID has completely slowed down the economy, slowed down progress. A lot of people are hesitant and very skeptical on many business initiatives. Now, has this changed the orientation in the home loan sector for you?
Yes, without a doubt. I mean, we had great plans for this year. The merger was going to go off with a big bang, and all kinds of events and programs had been scheduled. But a lot of it has had to be shelved or moved online, like this one, for example. But I think generally, the flow of business hasn't necessarily slowed down. We've seen a lot of interest because, don't forget, housing is a universal need.
Yes, it is.
COVID or no COVID, no matter what, people need a home to live in. So it's the mode of business origination that has somehow changed. Yes. But definitely the demand is still there.
I mean, we speak about change, and that's something that, people may think, okay, so there's been the merger with a bank and an existing mortgage company that also was a bank.
Yeah.
But what has changed internally? Because, I mean, we see this as an entity, but what has changed from a humane point of view? And if we have to humanize the entire process, what has really changed? So people feel they are more approachable, clearly, which you are, because I'm one to vouch for that. What has changed internally?
So we've created dedicated groups within the origination of the home loans business.
Yes.
So for example, if you look at the home loans business now in this new world, there's a dedicated business development team. And their mandate is to go out to each and every developer that we can identify, engage them, understand what they need, and how we can help them. We didn't have that in the old world, a dedicated team to do that. We have a client service team that is looking at existing clients, those who've already bought and are being serviced, to make sure that their satisfaction is paramount.
Yes.
But in the origination space, which is where the real magic happens, there's a whole team of mortgage advisors and sales executives that have been configured to make sure that the origination is very aggressive and the turnaround time is made as efficient as possible. And again, I'm one to deliver, not to talk too much, but they'll see, our clients will see, our developers will see in the coming weeks how this really, what this really means in real terms.
Now, I'd like to announce, because I've just been told that a lot of people have joined us currently, we would like to kindly remind you to turn off your videos so that the focus can be on our speakers that we'll have with us here this morning. And at the appropriate time, we will turn the videos back on and have you ask all your questions. Yeah. Kojo, back to you about the questions that I have for you. Now, some developers, you know, for them, this is the first time that they're dealing with First National Bank. Yeah. You know, what is it that's different that they should be expecting from you?
Yeah, so to those, I'll say welcome. This is a first in many respects. I mean, you mentioned COVID earlier. Yes. Ordinarily, this event, when we organize it, is held at a hotel. It's face-to-face. It's very interactive. And the part I like best is the lunch that we have afterwards, because you get to meet every single developer who's there, yes, especially the new ones.
So you get to have a conversation.
Exactly, and that's something I look forward to a lot. Unfortunately, this time it's being done online, so we don't get to see them. But in terms of what a new developer to this forum should expect, is to understand how we do business, at least put some faces to names, and know who to reach out to if you need help. Once they have that contact, it's unlikely we'll be able to answer all their questions in the time we have, but they know who to reach out to whenever they need help, and once they are plugged in, we should be able to work with them. Yeah.
Now, there's this perception that a lot of Ghanaians buy primarily from developers. Do you feel that they have moved away from that approach and buy more from the private sector or private vendors?
We have seen that trend, and it's something we've spoken about at similar presentations in the past. Again, that's another difference. Normally, this presentation is slightly more technical. Because this is the first one in this setting, we're keeping it rather superficial, but normally we dive into detail. We show developers where the business is going. And if you look at the trend over the past 5 or so years, it has steadily moved from developers to private vendors. In other words, when people are looking to buy, they don't just stop at the developer. They go to private vendors. And now there are various, because of the internet, there are various platforms which allow you to know who's selling their house. So that's made that process quite easy. And therefore, whether developers like it or not, the competition is real. And it's everywhere. It's everybody who's trying to sell their house, who's put it on an online platform. And therefore, we talk to developers and try to explain to them what the thinking behind some of these decisions are and how we can work together to address them.
So some of the products that you had in the beginning with Ghana Home Loans and Ghana Home Loans Bank, is how the product that you had, the product mix that you had, still the same? Is it different now?
At this stage, what we've done is to transition the original stable of products into the new platform. But there are definitely others that we are adding on, which are now made possible because of the strength of the platform we operate on. So all the products, for example, the home purchase product, the equity release, home loans, the recently introduced safe-to-own mortgage, all of those are also available in the new world. And then going forward, we shall introduce new ones, as I said, made possible because of the strength of the platform we operate on.
There's a perception that people think that mortgages are usually in foreign currency, predominantly in US dollars. Do you also offer Ghana CD mortgages as well?
Yes, we do. And we have actually been offering CD mortgages for, if I'm not mistaken, easily 6-7 years now. The challenge most people have had has been the interest rates, being able to qualify, because CD rates are relatively higher.
Yes.
But it's always been on the menu. And I remember back in 2014, when Central Bank came out with that directive, that a lot of people looked at the CD model, and the cost made it quite difficult for them to qualify, and most of them converted back to the dollar offering. But there's a new government initiative in the CD space, which we are actively looking at, and we'll bring that to the market when we've been able to figure it out.
Okay, so a lot of developers currently have challenges with, financing, and because obviously COVID has slowed down the progress of business and fluidity of financing. Do you assist developers in their pipeline during this time? Do you provide any particular products for them? Is there something special that developers can reach out to you and find a First National Bank?
Right, so essentially, when developers speak to us, they tend to have two requirements.
Okay.
The first one is slightly easier to fix.
Okay.
In other words, somebody's come to them to buy a house, they've given them a cash installment payment plan. Halfway through, the individual is stuck which means the building is no longer progressing as far as construction is concerned, and they need to unlock that situation. That's an easy fix. We just ask them to send the person to us. We provide them with a mortgage if they qualify, and that allows us to fund the developer.
Okay.
The second requirement is for construction financing. Okay. Somebody has acquired 10, 15, 20 acres, and they need money to build 200-300 units. That's slightly more difficult. So we've done that on a limited basis in the past. And going forward is one of the key items on the agenda for me, number one on my job description, to make sure that we can make this available to developers. So it's not available yet because of the technical difficulties in that kind of funding. It is perceived as risky, and it is risky. But we think we've got the right background, we've got the right skill set, we have the right understanding of the market to address it for developers in a meaningful way. So when we come to address this problem, it will be permanent, and it will be significant in terms of what it does to transform the developer business.
In an incident where a lot of developers are having challenges selling their properties and their sales are low, obviously within these times, do you assist them in promoting and marketing, also offloading their properties?
Yeah, I mean, historically, that's been one of our strong selling points, to work with developers to help them bring their properties to market, and also to critique what they've done. I mean, some of them don't like that, but we tell them what they've done right, what they've done wrong, and what they can possibly do either with the construction or with the pricing or with other bits and pieces based on what we've seen from elsewhere to enable them sell faster. And also, because we have a very dedicated and experienced sales force, when individuals come to us looking for properties, we can reference them to the developers. And usually we expect that to be a quid pro quo arrangement where they also refer business to us on an ongoing basis. But definitely we are partners in this. I mean, to the extent that they've got difficulties in selling, we work to help them.
Now, there have been innovations in some areas of mortgages, such as the green funding. Is this something that First National Bank also provides at the moment?
Well, it's another item on my job description. We signed with IFC. IFC introduced the EDGE program. EDGE is at the center of green funding. It's a program which allows you to attract funding if you've built using the right kind of environmentally friendly material.
Yes.
And we actually signed in our offices. We are very close to that conversation. And so going forward, that's one that we should be looking to produce and bring to the market. So it's going to be a two-way street. The developers must be prepared to build in a certain way for them to attract a certain kind of funding. And we'll be coming at it from the funding perspective.
So in terms of, you know, if there's a new developer that wants to create and develop a relationship with First National Bank, what are some of the things that they should be looking towards or looking forward to getting from First National Bank?
I think I touched on that earlier. It's a partnership. I mean, what they should expect is an institution that genuinely really cares about whether they succeed or not. So we have a whole dedicated business development team that plugs into a sales team that will run alongside their project. So the first point of call is to reach out to the team to say, I'm here, this is what I'm trying to do, arrange a visit. So the team comes out to see them, and we're quite happy for them to come visit us too. And then that's where the conversation starts, and then we see what exactly they need in terms of our assistance. I mean, you find it differs from developer to developer. Some need a sense of what the market is looking for from the price point of view. Some need help with the mortgage process. They need their salespeople to understand what they should be telling potential clients to qualify. Others too just need to know we'll be there for them when the time comes to disburse the mortgage. So it differs. But the key thing is to reach out and, if possible, share your documents with us, your land title documents. Let's see what you have. And if there's a difficulty there, we'll point it out to you before you get too far along in the process. The last thing you want to do is to wait till you finish building, and when you need the disbursement done, that's when our legal guys are pointing out to you reasons why we can't disburse. So come to us early in the process, tell us what you're doing, show us what you're working with, documents, your building permits, all those things. Let's make sure you are on the right track, and then we can provide the right direction.
So I have one final question for you, Kojo, and I know a lot of developers, you know, that's their main issue at the moment. Do you provide construction funding for developers? That's my very final question to you. And just before you answer that question, Patrick, we see you currently, but we would kindly ask you to turn off your video for the time being until we get to the point of Q&A shortly. So back to the question that I was asking you. So a lot of developers, you know, are hesitant, and because financing is practically unavailable. Yep. Do you provide construction financing for developers? Final question.
So at the moment we don't, but we are looking to provide it. And as I said, in the past, the solution has been rather ad hoc, as and when a developer needs it. What we are looking to provide, we don't have it yet, but what I'm working towards is a solution that is all-encompassing. I've been around long enough to know what the developers need at various stages. So the internal conversations that we've started is to address the particular point you raised, which is how can we come up with a range or a suite of products which addresses developers' needs at the low, middle, and high end. And as I said, they all have different needs in terms of the kind of projects they are rolling out. And so that's what we're looking for, a comprehensive solution which should come. So we should be able to have a solution to share with them when we have a similar forum like this next time.
Now, Kojo, I know that you've touched on many subjects regarding the construction cycle, the financing aspect. What is it that you think that has created this sense of, disconnect when it comes to customers, developers, and the bank? Because there seems to be a complete disconnect when it comes to reaching out to a financial institution. There is a sense of intimidation, actually.
Yeah.
Why has that been created, and what is First National Bank doing in terms of demystifying that fear factor?
Well, I think it's always, I think that there are two places people normally try to avoid. One is the bank, the other is the dentist, right? Because everybody seems to think it's going to be a painful process.
Yes.
It really isn't. It isn't.
But the perception is that it is, because first and foremost, it's an institution that has very robust academics, you know, very high level, you know, persons that can completely, the front line usually is the first point of, you know, either reception of or complete rejection.
Yep.
What is it the First National Bank offers to developers, for customers, for brokers, for agents that is completely different from other mortgage institutions? So
in that sense, I agree. I mean, maybe in some institutions, the front line is intimidating. Our front line is very friendly, very approachable, and they'll get to meet them when they do interact. So the front line is not intimidating at all. It's very welcoming. And they provide what every potential applicant requires, which is a bit of hand-holding, a bit of assurance, a bit of direction in terms of how to go through the process and what to expect. And also a quick response, someone who tells you right from the beginning if this thing is going to work or not. And we're able to do that because of the experience that we bring to the table. So to the extent that we can provide that, I think the individual gets the confidence that they're dealing with the right institution. So with potentially someone who's looking to take a mortgage facility to buy a house, once our sales guys have come to you, or once you've interacted with them, you should get a very early feeling about the process and whether or not you qualify, or how much you qualify for.
Well, your tagline in loan says, how can we help you?
How can we help you? Exactly. So it's all about help. And being user-friendly, being able to give that kind of assurance that this application will work or this application will not work, so please don't waste your time. Sometimes that's even a better answer to give than to string the person along and then dump them at the last minute.
Just tear off the Band-Aid and go straight to the point.
Right, just go straight to the point. Let them know what they're in for. I mean, anywhere in the world, applying for a mortgage or a home loan is not, it's not simple.
Yes.
Because of the amounts of money involved, because of the very inherent nature of the transaction. But it shouldn't be made unduly complicated either, even though sometimes it does feel like that.
It's the scariest thing for most people to actually leap into. But it's the one thing that most people, everybody requires.
Yes.
Now, we have a couple of things on the screen right now. Could you just touch on this for us for a few minutes?
Right, so this talks about our new engagement model, and it talks about the frequent scheduled site visits. I touched on our dedicated business development team, which is something we didn't have in the past.
Yes.
We've talked about client referral, the ability to, or the need for us to work together, developers and First National. So we refer business to them, they refer business to us, and we keep in touch to make sure that the transactions conclude and it's not just a speed date.
Mm-hmm.
So Contact details of the business development team shall be shared. I'm sure that it will come up on the screen so they know who to reach out to. Oh, there they are. So there's Marina, who is the team lead, and Mantibia, Deborah, and Elikem, and their contacts will be shared so that developers can reach out to any of them in the first instance, and they normally receive them and then take the conversation from there. Then I touched also on this one, which is where ordinarily, I mean, I remember going back about some 12 or so years, the very first developers forum we had. Most developers at the time used to rely on cash installments to build. And when we introduced the mortgage model, it was quite a lively debate as to why they should send customers to us when the individuals are paying on a cash basis. And our point was the individual might be able to make the first or second installment, but you find that they're not always able to follow through. And if they are not able to follow through, then you as a developer, that slows you down because you expect a certain cash flow which doesn't come, and then it messes up your project. So in that case, send them back to us. We'll arrange a mortgage facility which pays the full amount outstanding. So we expect to see that kind of relationship where clients who are stuck mid-flight, they've made the first installment, but are struggling to make the second or third or fourth installment. If they come to us, we can arrange a mortgage package which pays all the outstanding funds to the developer, and it allows for a quick completion.
I actually wanted to touch a bit more on that because sometimes you find that a lot of clients as well as developers find it quite hard to come to the bank to have a discussion, to renegotiate, to restructure, because something along the way within the pipeline of their business transactions may have gone completely off track and off road. So do you, in terms of the relationship building, in terms of your rapport with your clients, because you have a wide portfolio of clients on your database at the moment, and I'm sure you are going to have a lot more now. How do you constantly keep the communication, the relationship, the rapport ongoing? I mean, you've mentioned Mantebia, and all the rest of them and everything. Do you have some form of an online conversation that you have with your clients? How do you keep the relationship real time?
Right, so in addition to the business development team we just met, there's also a client service team, and they keep the relationship over the period of the mortgage. So for the 10, 15, 20 years that the individual has a relationship with us, there's a team that is dedicated to them, calling them, making sure that their repayments are made on time. And if there's a difficulty, they get to the bottom of it and see how we can resolve it. I mean, 15, 20 years is a very, very long time.
It is a very long time.
Invariably,
it's a lifetime.
Something can and will go wrong, but there's a team that's dedicated to picking that up and working through with the clients to make sure that we get a happy resolution.
Kojo, do you have any final words for all of our, our viewers and our agents, our brokers, our developers, our customers, including myself, who are prospective clients that may be looking forward to coming to join the First National Bank family and picking up a mortgage? What are your final words of encouragement to our viewers?
Well, first off, I'll say thank you to them for tuning into this session. As I said, it's quite revolutionary. I mean, we haven't done this before. I'm quite excited about it. And we look forward to meeting each and every one of them. Unfortunately, you didn't share my contacts, but I hope it comes up later. I'm happy. I mean, my doors are always open. My email address is always open. You've got a dedicated team there, always willing to hear what they are looking to do. And as I said, we really want to hear from them as early on in the process as possible, so we can be part of the conversation.
So you mentioned early on in the process, the whole construction cycle has various levels of development. What is the early on as possible? What does that really mean? Is it at the land acquisition stage? Is it at the verification stage? Is it at the authentication of the documents, the line title? What is the first step, would you say, is the best time to come and approach the First National Bank on the mortgage? I
mean, frankly, even from the dreaming stage, even when they're dreaming about it, we've had people come to us with just plans, architectural drawings or artistic impressions of what they are looking to build. And that has been the basis of a conversation, because we can look at that and say, well, looking at the area and looking at the price point, we don't think you're on the right path here. You might agree to disagree, but we'll give you our view. So I'm interested in even seeing it at that stage, conception stage, all the way through to when you actually buy the land, to when construction begins. So right through, we are partners in this. And to the extent that we've got views or, and we have members of the team, I didn't mention this, we have members of the team who've actually been developers before. I mean, Edward Diako and his team, they've been at the forefront. So they sit across, they've sat across from us at some point in the past. So they know exactly what the developers are going through. So it's not an abstract conversation when we give views. We really know what we are talking about.
You have humanized it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Now I know that we have we have a session for Q&A later on, but we do have some pressing questions that are coming at the moment, and one of them is from Kofi A, who is from BlackRock Developers, and his question, Kojo, is to you, and it goes: what are the opportunities for joint marketing activities with First National Bank?
So historically, we've done that. Going forward, this will be one that will go to the business development team and Delali's team to sit down to see what the requirements are, what is exactly meant by joint marketing. Is it going out on the road together? We've done that. Is it doing joint billboards? We've done that. Is it going to the radio stations together? We've done that too. So it depends. I mean, so it really depends on what they're expecting and how early they are in their particular process to see how we can best help their cause.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Kofi. I think that at this point in time, we'll have to progressively move forward at this point. Thank you so much for joining us,
Thank you too.
Kojo. It's been very kind of you. Now, we're all realizing that all the help that we need is available at First National Bank to scale up our construction, sell out our land and homes, while ensuring that we're complying with the best practices to push our business growth. Now, with COVID-19 looming, it is important to find innovative ways to project our developments. Buying a property requires that you have a physical inspection, you look at the land, you have a feel of the space that you're going to be living in. But let's take a look at how we can create a virtual tour to have your clients come on site without actually physically having them there. Let's take a look.
This is Ben from Life in 360, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to make your own virtual tour, regardless of the 360 camera you own. So here are my weapons of choice. I have a nice cheap 360 camera, the Xiaomi Mijia Mi Sphere. It's an excellent option. I will put a link to this down in the description to where you can find it for around the $200 mark. This is the Manfrotto Mini Pixie tabletop tripod. I've got my favorite Manfrotto selfie stick here. This is the 2-in-1 selfie pole. And finally, we have an adapter, which is going to allow us to put the selfie stick onto the tripod. Mi Sphere goes on, Wi-Fi goes on, I'm going to connect to my app, and then I'm going to go run and hide and take my first photo. Let's do it. Here we have the preview, and I am hiding down the hallway there. So let's take our first photo. So that's our first shot taken. Now I'm going to move the camera up about 1 meter or so. I think you should just use common sense, and whenever you see the environment has changed significantly, then move it up that far. You don't need to do it every few inches. I would say maybe 3 to 6 feet at a time. So I've got it here right now, and I want the next step of my tour to be about here. I think enough has changed within those 6 feet. When you're walking through doorways, you'll want to shoot a few extra shots so later on the 3D tour can be nicely pieced together. At the moment you can see this is the door, right? It might think that that is wallpaper or a painting, so that's why we're going to take a few. We're going to take one here, and one here. I'd say it maybe a few inches apart, just so the software can really determine that 3D space. All right, this room is done, so now let's head over to the edit suite and piece these bad boys together. Next, head to cupix.com, sign in with your Facebook account, and bam, we're at the dashboard already. Up in the top left, hit New 3D Tour, enter the details of your space, upload your photos, and let it load. And we're done. What we see in front of us isn't really that impressive, right? Well, wait for this shit, this is gonna be so cool. I hit floor plan, and here we have our virtual tour on the right, but check this out on the left. This is an actual floor plan of the building I was shooting, and you can see it's picked up the scale of everything, it's picked up where the little rooms are. So next we want to go into the publisher, and here we have the preview of what your client would potentially look at. They'd see Ben is awesome, and they'd be like, hey, if that guy's awesome, I must do business with him. Now you just hit the publish slider, and our virtual tour is now online. We can copy the URL. So when we open up a new tab, this will be the URL that we send people to so they can access our virtual tour. And here we have it, guys, our end result. It is looking absolutely awesome. Until next time, keep capturing your world in 360. This has been Ben. You can follow me on Instagram @BenClaremont for tiny planets and all kinds of wacky 360 stuff. And I'll see you in the next video.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now let me usher you into our next session with Mark Achampon, who is the head of business, the commercial business banking, as he shares with us his great portfolio that he has available. Now, Mark, I've seen you many times in the banking hall, in your office. I've come to take on loads of products that you have under your umbrella. But for today specifically, I'd like us to talk about what the C&I business unit really provides under your department. Let's go a little bit into that.
Thank you, Michelle, and thanks for having me. I think to answer this question, I'll pick on 4 key themes that we usually use in the bank, and that's what we call transact, lend, insure for our customers. And when I talk about transact, it's the ability of our customers to be able to operate normally. So that comes with your current account.
Okay.
But the unique thing about our processes is that we have a best-in-class internet banking suite of products that allows our customers to do quite a number of things: international trade, direct payments, stop check instructions, and all. So it's really one of the best in class. When it comes to lend, we provide our customers with working capital facilities as well as term lending. And for this very particular session, I think one of the things that most of the developers will be asking is, do you provide construction finance? And I was happy when Kojo mentioned that that is something that we are seriously working at to bring into focus. And so this forum is also to pick their minds as to what their pain points are and how we can address some of those issues when it comes up in the next 2 or 3 years. So I think these are the things that we are really here to talk about. So when you look at the product suite that we have, I think we do have one of the best products in the banking sector today.
Now, Mark, I have a lot of questions for you, but I do have to just remind our viewers and our guests about the house rules. We know that you are anticipating to ask all the questions, but please kindly turn your video off and unmute your mic, and we will definitely be coming to you shortly. But before I proceed, I do have some acknowledgements to make at the moment. We've been joined by George Chejemfi, who is the Chief Executive of Jemfi Group of Company. Also, Erabna AB, who is a Sales and Marketing Manager of Motorworks Limited. Thank you for joining us. Christian Ajovi, who is a Head Sales and Marketing at BlackRock Developers Limited. I think we had somebody that's related to you earlier on that came to join us as well. And Dr. George Mante, who is the MD of MoneyCard Limited, FinTech PSP. Thank you so much for joining us. And finally, Elizabeth Ofori Ado, who is the Business Development Prime of Prime Realtors Ghana. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Mark, what is the bank's outlook on the economy in relation to the real estate sector, considering the impacts of COVID-19?
I think COVID has come in as quite a surprise to everybody.
It has. It's completely changed.
Yes, and changed the way we work.
Yes.
But this forum actually tells you how we view this sector, because we believe that COVID will pass. Housing is going to remain critical for everybody in the world, and therefore the long-term view is very positive. And so we look at this to build progress towards a properly normal world, or a new normal world, whichever one it will be.
That is a new term, actually, the new normal.
So clearly, it's something that we view as a positive, and we look forward to actually being a big player in the construction and development sector.
Mark, can you please share with us some of the products and services that are currently available at FNB under your portfolio? Just be very specific about some of the products that you have. Okay, specifically,
and this goes to the entire ecosystem of developers, because not to just look at the people who put up the properties, but everybody that plays within the development sector. And I think the key things we want to talk about is the fact that it's our transact products, our current account, our investment products. We have quite a varied number of investment products: 7-day notice, 14-day notice, normal fixed deposits. So those are on the investment side. And then when it comes to electronic banking, we also do have those products available for our customers. Also, you can actually produce and process some of your transactions even on our app as well. So
these are some of the products we have for the sector.
Thank you, Mark. Now, specifically speaking about the real estate development sector, a lot of developers rely solely on imported logistics, you know, from all of their raw materials. Does the bank offer any trade products to facilitate and also lessen the financial burden on these developers? Do you offer trade products within the bank?
Yes, we do. If you look at our trade products, we do provide some letters of credit for our clients, telegraphic transfers for our clients. The benefit here, or I think the key thing that we do, however, is the fact that we do allow our customers to initiate and process all of these transactions online without coming into the bank. And I think in this very new environment, that is clearly what every customer will require. Therefore, this is there for our customers. Our rates in terms of processing these transactions are also really well minimal, to ensure that the customers cut down on costs for such transactions.
In terms of, you know, the property development value chain, are there any particular forms of support that the bank is offering its customers?
I think for the entire value chain, we actually put together all the things that we have. So lending, working capital, trade, as you did mention earlier on. So customers who actually import the tiles, and all of those things can come to us. We are more than willing to provide support for them. And then when my colleagues from the retail side come, we'll also talk to, we do provide workplace banking for them. We provide Forex support as well to make sure that they cut back on their costs. We provide term lending where they need to acquire certain fixed assets. We also do that for them. And more importantly, if they do want to invest as well, we are also there to provide that support.
Mark, thank you so very much for giving us all this insight about what your portfolio offers and your department offers. It's been very insightful and very reassuring to know that the support system really does exist. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
At this
Michelle.
point in time, I'd like to show you a special report on how some developers are making it in spite of the challenges that we're facing within this COVID-19 pandemic. Let's take a look. We'll be right back after that. You did? Oh, wow. Now, I know that I promised to show you a special report on how some companies are making it big amidst this COVID-19 pandemic. And so I'd like to, but we will show that to you shortly. But in the meantime, we've showed you a number of developers that have joined us currently. There's such a wide array of developers, some of them that I recognize, some of them that are quite new. So thank you for honoring the invitation. Thank you for joining this Property Developers Forum from First National Bank. It's a real pleasure to have you. Now, most of you know that First National Bank have expanded their reach and their network to reach you and provide you services from 7 to 11 branches nationwide. Now, First National Bank has a total of 11 branches across Accra, Tema, Kumasi, and Takoradi. Now, please locate your nearest branch within the branch located on the First National Bank app or the website. Responsible for the retail banking space today, I have with me Ifra Poko Ewia, who's a sales manager at First National Bank. Now, today, I'd like to touch on sales and retail. Ifra, it's such a pleasure to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
So nice to have you. Now, tell us a bit more about some of the exciting solutions in the retail market that First National Bank is offering most of our customers.
Okay, so we've been here for just about 5 years, but in that short space, we've actually taken time to understand our customers and their needs.
Yes.
So we've tailored products to suit them. We have our gold check account, the platinum account, we have loans, we have investments and all that. But when I come to you, I don't actually come to you to sell a product. I'm here to sell banking solutions to you, because all these products are actually powered and channeled through our digital platforms.
Yes.
And that is supposed to give you the freedom and the convenience to bank as you like, when you like.
I like the fact that you actually touched on convenience, because nowadays a lot of people find it difficult because the fear factor is still very prevalent. People are afraid to move into, the banking hall. They're afraid to go into public places. So the digital platform service that you offer to me is the most convenient, because I personally use it. I'm not a very techie savvy person, but I've come to be extremely, techie, because some of these things are quite the things that we need to be using in our current day. Now, some of the products that you've spoken about are within the digital platform, the app that you have. But why is it so important for it to be on the forefront at the moment?
In this fast-paced environment, you can't expect that your customers will stop whatever they are doing and then come to the bank every now and then.
Yes.
You need to empower them, equip them to do whatever they need to do on the go. So basic things like changing your PIN, cancelling your card, even transfers and all that. No need to go to the banking hall. Just log onto your app and then quickly do it. You can even do international transfers from your laptop, from your computer, from the comfort of your home. You transfer the funds, it's gone, and you're good to go. The platform is fast, safe, and very reliable.
I have experienced, because I have 2 accounts with First National Bank, and I've mentioned that before, my personal account and 2 other business accounts. Some of the things that I noticed was that the transition between one account and the other account is seamless. But for some people that don't even know that you can have your personal account, your business accounts, and you can marry the 2 or transition between them and transfer money and transact as well. Is it something that they have to go through some kind of a learning process to know, or is it that easier, that the steps quite easy to understand?
The app is very user-friendly,
Okay.
very easy to do.
Okay.
So once you've been set up, whichever accounts you have, it will all populate under your profile. So the steps are all there. There's a menu button, you click on it, and then you do whatever you need to do. Just tap. There's some literature. So once you tap, if you don't know what you're supposed to do, the app will itself tell you what to do, and then you follow through.
So in terms of the additions that the bank has introduced, what are some of the added value that, some of the products that you've introduced you have? What are some of the added value services that you currently have within the retail sector?
Okay, so I understand that, most banks have platforms and apps and all that. Beyond just it being a transactional platform, it's also a medium of communication.
Okay.
So you can actually go to the app and then have your say. Probably you have an inquiry, just log on and then tell us what it is. You have a complaint, go ahead and do that. You want to report fraud, go ahead and do that. If we're giving you some fantastic service and you want us to know, no need sending an email, just go to the app and send to us. So it's very interactive. That is not common on the market. I also want to touch on our reward system. So we believe that card is king. So for our gold and platinum customers, we've actually put together a reward scheme for them to encourage them to use their cards. So at the end of the month, you always get 1% cash back on your card payments. This is a safer way to do things. This is money you would have spent anyway, but we are saying spend it this way and then get cash rewards. As simple as that.
So are these notifications? Because I have been getting notifications on my phone. I mean, I get loads of notifications, and sometimes it's quite overwhelming. But I'm glad that I get the notifications because I am prompted, and this is just to attest to it. I am prompted on all of my debits, my credits, my savings, saves, everything that I need to know about my account is real time, is on the go. And I must also say that the relationship that I have built with the relationship manager has been long. I have been with the bank for about 5 years, and I'm telling you, they are one of the best. And one of the things that caught my eye, and I would say this because my relationship manager, Dayla Sim and Daniel Ajuvu, thank you so much for being so helpful for all these years. The one thing that caught my eye was, First National Bank, how can we help you? That got me. That totally got me. But thank you so very much for giving us insight about the retail department and some of the products that you offer. It's been very insightful and very helpful to also demystify the fact that, reaching the bank is not such an intimidating experience. It's open to everyone. Thank you so much for clarifying that.
Thanks for having me.
I want to also repeat the fact that there's going to be an open forum session at the end of the forum. So you will have the opportunity to ask all your questions to all of the speakers that we have here with us this morning. And so all your questions in the chat room will be answered, and you will have the opportunity to come on live and ask all your questions. But for now, let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Hey, General. What happened?
Hey, you guys will better look sharp. Now my bank allows me to withdraw 10,000 Ghana cedis from the ATM. But the inconvenience we see, how I will carry the money go out with the team. That is why I try arrange them.
But wait, though, doesn't your bank allow you to make payments with your card on the go?
Hey, Sikabe Kome.
Does your bank reward you for paying with your card? First National Bank does. Switch now to better banking.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us and also joining us on this forum, the First National Bank Property Developers Forum. It's a real pleasure to have all of you here present. Now, moving straight to global markets, I have with me Kofi Pianim, who is the head of global markets. Kofi, how are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you very much for having me today.
I'm glad that you made the time to be with us.
Thank you very much.
Now, you are within the global markets department, and so everything that happens from the top that trickles down to us here in Africa has obviously is what you have information on. But tell us how the pandemic has affected your sector.
Okay, so my sector, I believe, is your sector and everyone's sector.
Okay.
Because what I look at is volatility of currency and interest rates. Right? And those things affect us directly and indirectly, especially as an import-driven nation. As you were rightly said in the other interviews, almost all the products are imported.
Yes.
So what happens to the currency happens to you and I. So the whole idea is that you need to understand what the dynamics are, the volatilities, the pain points, as Mark said, so you can help your customers navigate this, either by advice, research, or just keeping them aware, staying close to them, just allow them to survive and manage costs better.
It sounds very easy, but how easy is it really? Because I mean, a lot of clients are afraid.
Yes.
What assurances are you giving them within this time at the moment?
So I think geography is very important,
yes.
right? So to start off, at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was worried about Africa, right? And a country like Ghana, really small, look at the population distribution of wealth, it just looked like we were so vulnerable
yes.
that Africa was going to tank. And yet, if you look at statistics today, you find that good leadership, good decision-making helped us navigate something which was almost doomsday, right? Those good decisions are both social and economic. We know what the social are. We actually know what it costs from the economics, right? So we know the government had to spend quite a bit to protect society, about 11.2 billion to be precise on COVID alone, right? This could have gone into infrastructure, roads, but they made a choice between growth and welfare. And I think that that was an optimal thing. Keep the people calm, they survive, they get to add to the economy another day. They also took some very good steps by going to the IMF very quickly and got a 1 billion facility so that all of us who are worried about balance of payments and what's going to happen to a country when it shuts down, if they can't export their cocoa, if they can't export their gold because of operational risk, how do they survive?
Yes.
How do they pay off their debts? By going to borrow this facility, you create a little bit of confidence. Because all of us, as much as we spend cedis, we're Ghanaians, we think in dollars. You understand? Your salary translates into what item you can actually import. So the good thing about COVID is that it actually forces economies like ourselves to actually start taking care of themselves. The moment you start investing in the country, people can feed each other, create employment, we start moving away from this whole thing of growth, where's financing going to come from? So it empowers people to be able to afford a house. As we speak today, the GDP per capita is about $2,200, which means that ideally speaking, a person of that caliber can only buy a house worth about maybe $25,000 without interest, right? If you start adding interest, city interest of, let's say, 20%, over 5 years, the amount doubles. So how is this person able to afford this? This $2,200 is for 1 year. They can only put 40% into a house. And they've got school fees, children, and livelihoods to take care of. So the macroeconomics makes a difference. It creates like a stable point for you to actually get some growth and be able to get the things that you need. Primary necessities, food, shelter. Government is helping with food, so we're about to help you navigate the shelter.
Let's touch a bit more on the cost of credit for the sector in particular.
Yeah. I think it's a problematic thing, right? Okay. So the biggest challenge is choices like this, when you choose between welfare and economics. What happens is that right now, the government is so starved for cash because our economy is so informal that tax collection is a problem, right?
Almost impossible.
Almost impossible. If you were able to, but steps are being taken to try and make it more transparent, try and make it less painful. At least if you can see the road being built, you don't mind paying the tax for it. So I think some of the things that we're seeing are actually helping the conversation a little bit better. But in terms of credit cost in Ghana is way too much. But the metric is government. The government is risk-free. If the government borrows 20-year at 20%, where is Kofi and AC supposed to borrow money at? I'm an individual. I'm not even as my credit worthiness. I don't have cocoa, gold, resources, and land.
There's no assets
exactly.
to use as guarantee even.
What asset can you use?
Yes.
And then the other challenge is also the documentation process, the transparency, and how quick issues get resolved. So one of the things is the law around land. There's a lot of litigation around land. It takes way too long for you to get any resolve. So if I'm an investor and I'm putting my capital in there, I have to bear in mind all the risk, regulatory risk, legal risk, currency risk, liquidity risk, and all those risks are embedded. So if you change the legal platform, at least the government doesn't have to pay for anything because private investors are fine because it's a transparent process and they know they are backed by the law. And that is also another input by government that does not come with money. So I think that we can help ourselves by making things more transparent and less opaque or mysterious. The mystery makes it very nerve-wracking.
Yes,
a person says, I'll buy land. But even the purchase of the land, you don't know which centimeter belongs to which chief, which becomes a 20-year battle. Before you know it, your capital is lost. And that's a generation gone because their parents were not able to defend them because the law did not defend everybody in the land. So that's important.
We know the problem.
Yes.
I mean, we're all preview to the problem. What is the solution?
So I think the government needs to focus on two things, right? So it's affordability. That's one, because the average Ghanaian cannot afford a house. Even if you earned 100,000 cedis a year, I think you could probably buy, without interest, you can buy a house for about $140,000, right? Now, that's without interest. So I think the main problem is actually either interest or cash flow, right? The problem is that people don't start earning the kind of monies that allow them to buy a house until they're about 30 years old. By the time they're 30, they've only got about 30 more years working life.
Actually, even less, about 20, because in 10 years, you're probably still trying to some people are still finding their ground at age 30. So I say about 20 years, the minimum. Let's look at the minimum.
Exactly.
So you got 20 to 30 years productive lifespan.
Exactly.
To be able to meet the expectations and the requirements. And so it's a catch-22, really.
Exactly. So I think that alternatives is just to find cheaper methods or to find cheaper ways of actually building. So the onus is actually on the builders to find alternative ways. So if you look at the Japanese construct, if you look at the Chinese construct, you've got high populations. Exactly as Delali said, you've got a gap of about 1.9 million when it comes to housing. That gap goes up by approximately, let's say, I'd say maybe you could say 1 million, but the people can actually afford because demand is effective ability to pay for it as well. So let's say 10 to 20% of the population. So that's about 200,000 people every year. So that gap is going to keep...
volumes.
Exactly. That gap is going to keep on growing. However, affordability is the question. So now it's about building material. Maybe not everybody deserves to touch the grass outside their house. Maybe we need to start thinking differently. Maybe we need to look at more apartment complexes just to create a bit of balance in the housing sector. So I think that we don't have optionality. Everything is a large wall with grass, a dog barking, the American dream or the African dream.
You forgot the picket fence. You forgot the white picket fence.
The white picket fence.
But Kofi, before we actually carry on with the questions, I have some acknowledgements that I'd like to make to recognize some people that have joined us and have been graceful to give us their time. I'd like to acknowledge the attendance of, first and foremost, there's quite a number of you here. But first, I'd like to acknowledge Mrs. Elizabeth Ofori-Ado, who is the Business Development of Prime Realtors. Mr. Isaac Asari Bedu, who's the CEO of the Builders Market Limited and distributors of sanitary wares and bathroom products. I see it's a wide array of participants. Joanita, who's a customer service manager of DevTrackle Limited, hi DevTrackle, and Asantiwa Kwanin, who is the head of marketing of Build Daft Company. Lloyd Asari, who is the director of Actioneer at Good Name Mart Limited, and Dillis Dafro, who is a sales executive from L-Beam Realty. Hi, Dillis. And last but not the least, Dunwell Anor, who is a GM at Contrive Builders and Logistics Limited. Oh, we have one more, by the way. Mr. Keegan Wang, who's the CEO of Way Lead. Now, I have one last question for you, Kofi. Give us the take on the USD, Ghana CD currency interplay outlook on real estate, because a lot of people have this perception, and I asked that earlier on to Kojo, that mortgage facilities are predominantly dollar oriented or foreign currency packaged. What is your view on the USD Ghana CD currency interplay in the real estate sector?
I think it's quite sad.
It is.
Yeah, it's quite sad, but I think that it's very normal for human beings to want to protect themselves. So coming from the one selling the house, the one buying the house, nobody wants uncertainty. If it's a loan, most likely the only person who can lend you 20-year money at single digit, it would have to be coming from a foreign country. More often than not, it's 5-year money, 3-year money. At that point in time, you don't want to take the risk, because when the currency moves, it's not just your interest rate that is going up, not just your interest payment that goes up, the principal obligation is also changing. And that is not something...
So it's not consistent.
Yes.
It's always...
So a lot of people think it's better to borrow in dollars, but that depends on the regime you're under. So in an era like this, where balance of payments, you're sitting at 4.5 months import cover, reserves are sitting at 9.7 billion, gold is doing well, and oil is doing moderately well, you know that at least there's going to be some kind of macroeconomic stability around the currency. So what you can do is budget for the good periods and be able to see the difficult periods. Ordinarily, somebody would say an election year is a difficult period. But when your reserves are sitting at 9.7 billion before cocoa syndication has hit in September in Ghana, and the COVID numbers are what they are, I think that there's a bit of a ray of light that this currency could hold, and that the steps taken by the central bank and the government has put Ghana in a place where we're insulated for at least the next, let's say, 1 year. And that is enough time for the market to find its feet and redevelop. So what I can do is say, developers, reach out to us, because we can help you navigate each step of the journey. So for the next 6 months, you're fine. If you have a question, reach out to us. Partner with us. We'll give you research. We'll give you technical analysis. We'll give you different ways to hedge your products. We can give you forwards just to be able, so that you can budget for what you're doing. The last thing you want to do is to open up a mall and be changing rent on your tenants every week. We see that happen in many places. And so these are the challenges that we face.
And I think that I'm glad that you touched on that, because a lot of times people have this foresight of introducing an idea that they have, but the planning process, the steps of implementation is what is actually missing.
Exactly.
And so I'm glad that you've made it quite clear that you're accessible to give advice, to provide insight, and also 100%. Research, which is very important, because most of us, the layman doesn't quite project the economy's, health status in the next 5 to 10 years, but most of you bankers do. Majority of you do. Actually, First National Bank does.
We have to protect our customers and our shareholders. So we have to.
Thank you so very much, Kofi, for giving us all of this insight and making this information very, 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 very real time. I'm very glad you joined us.
I hope I was audible.
You were, actually.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to also acknowledge someone who just joined us, Mr. Samuel Amegayibo. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, who is the Secretary of GREDA. Thank you so very much for joining us. At this point in time, we would like to take a quick commercial break to take a look at what's happening on the Forex front. Let's take a look. We'll be right back. Welcome back, viewers, and everyone that has joined us from the very beginning. Thank you so much for having stayed this long. And for those who have joined us from your offices, from your cars, from your homes, as we're all working from home, this new normal, thank you so very much. Now, before we actually get to the forum session, which I'm sure most of you are itching to contribute your questions, your comments, and also participate in, I'd like to mention that we do have some trivias for you. And for those who answer the questions correctly, you will be given prizes in real time. But before we start that, I'd like to get us to loosen up and enjoy this forum by having a couple of jokes. Let's have Jacinta Okansi to take us on.
All right, everybody. I want to thank you so much for joining us on the First National Bank Property Developers Forum. This is the only platform where I get to speak this kind of impeccable English. On a normal day, I know they do talk like this. And I'm here to tell you that I'll be coming back later to entertain you, because right now it's time for serious business. The bankers are about to discuss how they spend our money. So I'll be leaving them in the hands of Michelle so that they can talk about money, and I will come back to talk some sense. Michelle.
Jacinta, that's nice.
Yes, I'll be back to
You'll be back and talk sense. This is just money.
Yeah, I'll be back.
All right,
to talk
see
sense.
you soon.
All right, see you soon.
Okay, so Kofi, Kojo, Ifua, and Mark, thank you so very much for coming back to us and for us to have this conversation that we are going to have. Now, I know that most of you have touched on, the growth market, or at least the international market. You've touched on the business home loans. You've touched on retail, and you've touched primarily on the C&I portfolio. What is it that you want most of our participants at this point in time to take? What's the takeaway? What's the take home? I'll start with you, Mark.
I think for me, and you alluded to it earlier, is how can we help?
Yes.
I think overall, our ethos is to be a bank that is always willing to provide our customers the best of solutions. So whenever they have any problem, I think the key thing is that come to us. We are always open. All the team here, I think everyone is always available to listen to our customers, understand their problems, and also provide the real solutions that can take their businesses and their personal life forward.
Thank you, Mark. And you, Afar, what exactly would you like most of our participants and new customers who are looking to, join the First National Bank family? What is it that you'd like to tell them from the retail department and impart with them?
To assist their employees with a myriad of products and services.
Well, thank you. That was very short and brief, but very to the point. And you, Kojo, what exactly would you like to tell our customers and our stakeholders?
Well, I think it's, we've described it as the one-stop bank.
Yes.
You come to one place and you have your treasury solutions, you've got your commercial or corporate banking solutions, you've got your retail for your staff, you've got your home loan solution. It's all together in one place. So it's the one-stop bank, or one-stop super bank, if you look at the strength of the platform.
Yes.
But that should be the idea, that you come here and if there is any way in which solutions can be offered, it all happens in one place.
I like the fact that you use the word solutions, because a lot of the times, most of these forums that we have are predominantly just conversation-based. They're not, forward-thinking, solution-oriented. And I'm glad that you made it quite clear that solutions are available for all types of developers, agents, and brokers. Thank you very much for reiterating that, Kojo. And to you, Kofi, what exactly would you like to impart to our viewers and our potential new customers and existing ones on, the current market? What's the one advice that you'd like to share with them?
I think that everybody just needs to be calm. Everybody needs to know that we are responsible for each other.
Yes.
And as your banker, we're here to help you navigate ambiguity. We can give you advice around currency, around research. There's no problem that we will not see in other jurisdictions. We are Pan-African, we are multinational. So we've got a world of expertise on the Ghana balance sheet, the global balance sheet, which we can leverage to add to your solution, your experience, just to make your financing journey complete.
I think at this point in time, we have some questions that are coming in. And the first question that we have at the moment is from Kojo. It's actually to you, Kojo. The question is, how has the merger between FNB and Ghana Home Loans Bank improved services? And how competitive are your rates? And are there any plans on reducing mortgage rates?
Well, So essentially, the question is, how has the merger improved services?
That is the first question,
right.
Yes.
So first off, the merger had to happen, and that's been done as far as the organizational, the structure coming together, the two structures coming together. To be honest, I mean, there are some parts of the process which are still work in progress.
Yes.
But for the most part, it's a new, better, and improved service, because what's happened is we've taken what we had before and superimposed it on the FNB platform, which is obviously tried and tested. So that combination is quite powerful. And I think I touched on it earlier, which is for those who've experienced it or are going to experience it, and those who've worked with us in the past, they should be able to see that this is a better version of what was already a very good product. In terms of mortgage rates, that's always a tricky one. The rates are a function of several things. The rates are a function of the rates at which we borrow, and also local credit conditions, and also the individual applying for the facility, because different people get different rates.
Oh, is that really?
Yeah, that's right. Depends on your credit profile.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So the question here is, how are the rates going to get lower? And that's one of the reasons why this platform, the First National Bank platform, is so exciting, because in terms of borrowing, it's a much, much bigger balance sheet than the old Ghana Home Loans GHL Bank one. And therefore, it should show through in the rates at which we borrow, and therefore improve the rates at which we on-lend. So it's all ahead of us, and I hope the questioners are coming along for the journey, because that's what they should expect to see.
I think we have another question at the moment, and that question is coming from Isaac. And Isaac, your question is, if we could just kindly have the question on the screen. Isaac is a lawyer and project partner at Parlor Realty, and his question is, would FNB accept BG's, Bank of Ghana's foreign banks as security for construction loans in a bank-to-bank transaction? Let me repeat that question. Would FNB accept BG's bank guarantees from foreign banks as security for construction loans in a bank-to-bank transaction? Thank you very much, Isaac Ablodepi. I'm sorry if I haven't pronounced your name correctly, but I'm sure you know it's you I'm speaking about. What your question is, again, I think that question would be going to you, Mark.
I think bank guarantee as a security is acceptable,
yes,
generally. More often than not, you need to understand which type of bank is offering the guarantee. But usually when we do get it as a bank, we do communicate with the bank issuing it to understand whether this will be acceptable, and then we'll take it as a collateral. So if that is the case, I think generally I would say yes, it is an acceptable form of collateral that can be used.
Thank you, Mark. And I'd like to repeat that if you have any questions, please do not forget to put your questions within the chat room above on your screen. And also do not forget to turn off mute your mic and also turn off your video. But I have one more question, and I believe that question is coming from Tonye Amedume, who is from Exotic Properties. And the question is, what opportunities are available to beginners who have small parcels of land and want to build for sale? Thank you so very much for your question, Tonye. That question, I believe, will be coming again to Kojo.
Yeah, right. So I think this is a reference to what we discussed earlier,
yes,
which is, Tonya has a parcel of land, and she's probably thinking about how to start, and depending on where the land is, whether it's going to be at the low end of the market, middle or high end, and there's a whole conversation around that. So this is a good place to start in terms of us talking to Exotic about what exactly they're looking to do. In terms of the quantum of funds they need, or what kind of funding, if they need any at all, that's where Mark's team gets involved. And then in terms of where they'll go looking for clients, for example, whether we have existing clients on our database who are looking to buy what they are looking to build, or whether we need to point them in the right direction. These are all conversations which will start right about now, so that we're in a position to guide them right from the get-go. I think that's the most important part, to engage at exactly the stage.
At the inception stage.
At the inception
yes,
stage, so that we understand where they're trying to go and offer the wealth of our experience.
Before we actually go to the next question that would obviously come up on the screen, I have a question as well, yeah, from my own position. I'd like to ask, if, for instance, somebody has a parcel of land, yeah, and it's family owned, but there's so many different family, I'd say contentions, and not so much, fights, but contentions about the ownership of the land. First of all, it's a big parcel of land, and it's in a pretty commercial district. Yeah. What is the advice that you would give to somebody who has, probably a power of attorney over this particular land, but there is family contention from different family wings on the parcel of land? Would you give advice as to how they should proceed? Would they have to go through a law firm? Do you provide those legal counsels within the bank? Or, is it like you said, is it a one-stop solution center for everything from the authentication stage to the construction cycle to the commercial marketing of their development? What exactly would you advise someone like that?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that tends to happen a lot, where the grandfather leaves property to children, children leave it to grandchildren. Yeah. So you end up with a parcel of land where maybe 20 or 30 people have an interest. And the advice we normally give is that they should get a lawyer if they don't already have one. Or if they come to us, we can guide them along the way. But normally, anybody who is lending to them or partnering with them would want to see a unified front, a single signatory who's acting on all their behalf. The last thing you want is to halfway through a transaction or the construction, have different bits of the family kicking off a fight. So it all wants to be, what you want to do is assign it to an individual or a single company so that we know who we are dealing with as a mortgage lender, as a commercial lender, as a lawyer or a construction partner. So that's probably the first place you want to get to. Finding if it's the most senior sibling or whoever it is who's going to lead the transaction, and everybody signs a power of attorney or assigns their interest to that person so they can deal. Obviously, it has to be a very reliable and trustworthy member because they, in fact, hold the pen on behalf of everybody else.
They represent they represent the estate of the entire family.
Exactly. And that gives that kind of comfort that counterparties need to talk to such a situation.
Okay, thank you so much, Kojo. We have a question from Benaya Rawlings, and she's the manager of Z Homes, and the question is, I would like to ask, in what ways can real estate agents work with First National Bank?
So real estate agents will be speaking to our sales team, because invariably if they're coming to us, it means they potentially have clients who are either looking to buy or have identified a property and need a funding solution. So there's a team there who they'll be directed to once they reach out to us. But they're a very integral part of the conversation we're having here.
So you have a different department that caters primarily for brokers and agents and also real estate developers. So it's a complete different. So this is an extensive provision of so many different services in one bank.
Absolutely, because the kind of conversation you have with a real estate agent who has someone looking to buy an apartment, and let's say the price is 200,000, they have half, and they're looking for the other half. That kind of conversation is quite different from the kind of conversation you'll be having with Tonya, who called earlier, who's looking to build a property. So, so different teams deal with it just to make sure the conversation moves quite quickly.
Now, we're in COVID times, Kojo, and currently there is a perception that the real estate market has collapsed, essentially. A lot of people think that, there's no funding available to purchase, develop, and even market what you currently have. Would you say that First National Bank is providing reassurance in that area right now?
Yeah, first of all, I don't even know if I agree with the premise of the question, which is the market has collapsed. Granted, at the high end, yes, at the high end, it's cooled off a bit because all those who bought property expecting tenants to rent, the rental end of the market, especially the expat rental end, that's cooled off. We haven't seen prices collapse. Prices have come down somewhat, but we've seen this before. It happens every 4-8 years, you kind of go through a bit of a slowdown.
A cycle. Mm-hmm.
A cycle. But I mean, generally, the demand is still there. It's just a bit more sluggish, I think is the word is, than before, because people coming in need to be sure this is what they really want. And a lot of the speculative buyers have kind of gone away. But there's a real demand, and that's what excites us. The individuals who are new in their place of employment, looking to buy, or new in town, who have to buy. And that demand we've seen right through previous crises, and I'm sure we'll see it right through this one too. Right.
Okay, so I think we have a question from Mr. Samuel, who is the Secretary of GREDA, who is currently, who's loading up his question, and I think it will be coming up shortly. But in terms of new developers that are now venturing into the real estate sector, who, you know, probably have, like we said earlier on, who have family bequeathed properties or land that have been left to them, what would you say should be what should be their first step of engagement with the bank? I mean, I know you touched on, you spoke about the credit, the cost of credit. You spoke about the fact that, you know, the retail department provides a portfolio of services. And you also spoke about the various products within your CNI portfolio. But what would you advise a new incoming, I wouldn't say amateur per se, but someone who is now venturing into the real estate arena? What is the first advice? Because this is important to note. We are in uncertain times. Yep. This is an area that it demands a huge capital investment, and also for planning, because you have to think of, you know, the road infrastructure, you have to think of all of the amenities, and also your target audience. What would be your 3 points of advice to an incoming real estate developer that wants to venture into real estate?
Well, I've touched on a couple earlier, which is come with your documents. Let's see where you are building and the kind of documents you're working with. I've also mentioned that on the sales side, you need to engage for us to advise you or share our ideas on where we think the market is for the products you're developing. But I think you should also reach out to the bank in a broader relationship sense of view. In other words, open an account. If you've got Forex requirements, be speaking to the treasury team. If the company has other kind of financing requirements, make sure you've reached out to the commercial team, Mark's area, just so that you are known to the institution. Because invariably, when your big demand comes, when you want to raise that big construction financing, the first question the team at the
How long have you been in a relationship with
Who
us?
are you? I mean, how do you even know who you are? But if everybody else around the bank can speak to your existing relationship, I think it makes it a lot easier for that request to start the journey. Otherwise, question number one is, who is this guy? Do we even know him? So whilst you're making up your mind, whilst you're speaking to your siblings to consolidate the ownership and everything we've discussed, it's very useful to have that underlying banking relationship, I think.
Thank you so much, Kojo, for giving us that breakdown. Now, I have a question from Asamoah Gordon, and he says, we are into building and construction, as well as sales and of registered lands with a flexible payment and installment terms. How can FNB connect us with clients that need services like that? And I can repeat the question again. He says that they're into building and constructions, and they're also into sales of registered lands. And that's a little questionable, because I'm sure the bank would obviously do their due diligence as well to make sure that the land really is legitimately theirs. And they provide flexible payment and installment terms. How can FNB connect them to potential clients that need services like that?
So one of the services in the list you mentioned there is the construction of houses. And we often find, especially those in the diaspora, and I'm sure there are some who've tuned in, those in the diaspora who have a parcel of land and want to do a home construction facility. They want to build. They don't want to buy. They want to build. We can help them with the funding, but we can't help them with the construction. And normally they rely on entities such as Mr. Asamoah to build. And to the extent that we can establish a working relationship and can vouch for him, we can bring him in contact with the individuals who are looking for such service providers. So, as I said, once the relationship is in place, it can go down several different paths, but it has to start from somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. I just got told that we have Mr. Samuel, who's the Secretary of GREDA, who's going to be joining us on a video call. And before it actually, I think he's actually here now. So, Mr. Samuel, thank you very much. I've lost a sense of time. I think it's nearly mid-morning. Thank you for joining us at this First National Bank's Property Developers Forum. It's such a pleasure to have you. What is your question, Mr. Samuel?
Thank you very much.
Mr. Samuel, if you have any devices around you, such as your TV set or a radio set, could you kindly turn those off? Thank you. Okay, please go ahead. Samuel, thank you very much for your question. I think we had a bit of a disruption from our end hearing you, but we will ask you to kindly just hold on for us and stay with us for a few more minutes. We will come back to you. We have another question from, I believe, at the moment, from Keegan, who is asking if a client already paid more than 50% of the property they bought, and he promises to pay within 1 year and wants to move in, whether the bank can help the client. Can the bank help the client to provide a bank guarantee to the developer for him to move in?
Right, so...
Thank you so very much, Keegan, for your question, by the way.
Yeah. No, I think it's a wonderful question. We talked about it earlier on, which is where the client has made a part payment.
Yes.
And it's probably... Things haven't gone according to plan, so they need some help with the remainder. The first good point to note is the fact that he's even asking the question in the first place. Because the mistake some developers make is to give the keys to the client and say, oh, move in and pay as and when. Because then you have a bit of a sticky situation.
But could you, isn't that the more reason why there are flexible payment terms? Because I mean, I'm sitting from the standpoint, and I don't mean to be the, I don't mean to rub anything off, but I mean, playing the devil's advocate, quite frankly, and most of our viewers are customers and potential new developers who want customers. Isn't that the whole idea, to have a deposit paid and have some kind of flexible terms so that the client, myself speaking, feels there is not a constraint in coughing up this lump sum of money all at one go? Isn't that the whole idea?
No, that's the idea. I think the issue here is occupancy.
Okay.
Right, so I can give you a payment plan which is flexible. That makes perfect sense as far as your needs are concerned. But my concern is whether or not I should give you the key as well. So I can give you 2 years, 3 years. I can give you 10 years to pay me for the house. As long as you're not in there, I'm okay. The minute you move in, getting you out is a whole different story. So our advice has always been either the individual has made the right structured payments or send them to us, let us pay you on their behalf, and then we can have that long-term relationship with the client. That's what we do. As a developer, if you have 100 houses in your estate and you have different people at different stages of payments, you rarely have a problem because you become a debt collection agency, and if you don't have the platform for that, it could get you into all kinds of difficulties with your bank. So our advice is always, when you have someone who's made half a payment and is struggling with the other half, send them to us, let us pay you. So it's not a guarantee, we are paying you. We'll pay you, he takes the mortgage effectively, and we pay you. So they step out of, or you step out of the equation and we deal with them. We have a whole team that can manage that relationship much better than you ever can.
Thank you, Kujo. We have another question from Kwesi Daku, who says, at the moment, what is the minimum salary that qualifies for a mortgage financing? I know it's a broad question, but I mean, let's look at the portfolio of properties to begin with. I believe it starts from the affordability level and how much you earn on a monthly basis. So assuming you earn, say, assuming you wish to acquire a property between 150,000 USD to maybe, say, and I'll keep it moderate, about, say, 350,000 USD. Because anything else above that, quite frankly, I believe you must be working outside of the country and earning thousands of US dollars, which is, quite frankly, unrealistic, I must say. What would be the basic between 150,000 to 300,000 US dollars? What would be the prerequisite amount?
You come from the posh part of town.
Well, you
okay,
just put me
so, no, but actually...
I come from the comfortable part of town, but I'm also speaking for the people who are looking to afford and own their own dream home. Now, quite frankly, I must say that I'm aspiring to own my own home. That's not the reason why I'm doing this forum, by the way. It's just because I have a relationship with First National Bank, and you should too. But quite seriously, what is the base?
Right, so the base is much lower than the 150 you're talking about. That's why I made that comment, by the way. I mean, from the thrust of the question, they want to see how low you can go, right? 150 is way up there. I mean, as far as we're concerned, you can go as low as 50, 40, $20,000. We're actually selling houses on our books for 20,000. These are not houses we built. These are in the foreclosure pool. But there are houses going for 20, 25,000.
what type of, geographic location? I know you're smiling because you're thinking of my comfort level. I'm thinking of convenience and commuting reach.
It's all relative. I mean,
so where geographically are you speaking about?
Right. So for that kind of price, we are selling some in the 20 to 40,000 range.
Yes.
We have properties in Kaswa,
okay,
which is becoming the new commercial hub, by the way. I mean, that place is just blown up. Kaswa Wager Corridor, the population density there is completely off the scale. We have some on the OEB stretch. So granted, it's not in cantonments or ridge or airport, but if you go further out, OEB, Oyarifa, Kaswa Wager.
What about Eburi area?
Going out past, that's Oyarifa stretch
Yes.
into, so if eventually you find properties in that price range, 20 to 40, and the rule of thumb is for a decently built property,
yes,
with fairly decent infrastructure, the combined income, underline the word combined, is around the equivalent of $1,000, so about 5,000 cedis. So if husband and wife together earn about 5,000, 6,000 cedis, they're off to a good start. They qualify for something in the price range I just described, maybe even a bit higher.
I'm glad you actually touched on that, because a lot of people think that mortgages are solely for individuals and not couples and groups.
Yes.
So just to reiterate and to mention again, if you are a couple, a married couple, or you are partners, and you probably share a joint account, this is something, and with First National Bank preferably, this is an opportunity for you to also venture into their portfolio and look into acquiring your own property. We have another question from Azak Seidu, and my question is, why do you provide funding in the form of investment for developers? Do you provide funding in the form of investment for developers?
I think that's a construction finance question. So,
As one of the questions we picked up earlier on, it's something we are looking to do in earnest. Currently, we do not provide directly, but I always also believe that some projects in itself can self-finance itself or self-liquidate. So when something comes up like that and we look at it, then clearly we can provide a solution. Yes, we will be able to look at that. So my answer is more of a yes and no. Yes, because if the project is right, it's self-liquidating, we can look at it. No, because we do not have construction finance directly as a product today, but it's something that we are working on, and we are hopeful that by the next time we have such a forum, that answer will be an emphatic yes.
Where will the next forum be by then? I'm sure people are also anticipating to know.
I'm sure before the end of this year or beginning of next year, we should probably have another forum like this, yeah.
So before we get another question from our participants and our viewers, is there anything else that you would like to touch on, Kofi, specifically?
No, I think it's gone really well, and I think Kojo has done a pretty good job, and I think I'm quite confident. There are many opportunities.
Yes.
I got very excited when you said the property market had crashed, but clearly it hasn't. I think
I was hoping there was not going to be a debate at that point, but I mean, I'm of the view that it has, quite frankly, to some extent.
I think it is eased.
Yes, it's come to a stagnation stage. I mean, it's probably not crashed, but it's definitely slowed down. Quite a pause. Yes, it has. But please carry on.
No. So I think that there's a lot of hope and there's a lot of prospect in the space, if not for living, for investment. So I think that it's a very strong space, and I believe that anybody who's in that sector has actually got a very strong future.
Thank you.
Because property actually builds markets.
And it also appreciates in value as well.
Of course. And so it's the cornerstone to any economy.
Yes,
so the housing will tell you how well your economy is actually doing, because it touches the ground in everybody's pocket. Yeah.
Thank you, Kofi. I think we have one more question from Phoebe Q, and her question is: a new company wants to start a real estate business, example, sales, construction, etc. What are the basic procedures after getting the company registered that they have to go through? In terms of, once they've registered the company, what are some of the basic things that they have to go through if they wanted to start a real estate development?
Okay, so for me, I think the critical thing, and Kojo alluded to it earlier, is the fact that we need to know you, and there's a need to have a relationship with the bank. And by that relationship, we get to understand, one, what you intend to do as a developer. Do you want to look at the low-end market, the high-end market, or probably the upscale market? We also need to understand your financial standing. and what sort of support we can provide for you. But clearly, the first point is for you to come to us. Let's build a relationship. Let's understand your business, and let's understand your forecast as well as your business plan and where we can fit ourselves in along the journey.
If somebody came from an existing bank, Mark, and we have a lot of those scenarios, and they probably wanted to not terminate the relationship per se, but transition into a new relationship in this particular instance, what do you use reference of their previous banking record with their previous bankers as a means to fast forward and fast track the dating process with First National Bank?
If it's an existing business, then I think all the best, because there are a lot of records that you can look at. Their financial records is available, bank records is available, the projects that they've undertaken in the past is also available. So you can actually get a lot of information to actually make a decision on how to build that relationship. So if that is the case, I think it's all the best. Then you can actually now sit back and look at the history and see what sort of support the business is lacking and how you can actually provide a better solution to their future.
So it's possible?
Yeah, it's possible.
Thank you, Mark. I think we have one more question from Anthony Boateng, and his question is, some of the issues we have is, as we know, is that Ghana Home Loans, now FNB, have got some projects with Apollonia City. Is there not a conflict of interest? If you take a client in to apply for a mortgage, they have been redirected to go in for their products. This has happened in the past. This needs to be looked into as we end up losing customers. Not sure exactly what the question really is. I think Kujo, the question is definitely to you, but
yeah,
it's an intertwined question. Yeah. How would you answer this?
So the questioner is Anthony Boateng, and,
yes.
and the point he's making is that the old GHL Bank did a JV with Apollonia City.
Yes.
It's called Bijou. It's not a secret.
Bijou Homes.
Bijou Homes. We haven't tried to hide it. It's quite out in the open. It's a small enclave, I think 100 houses. And the point is being made that because of that project, we have a conflict of interest as far as business development is concerned. In other words, if somebody wanted to buy from a developer, we would say, no, don't go to that developer, go to buy Bijou. Respectfully, even though Anthony says it's happened in the past, I'm kind of struggling to see how that can be. Because, I mean, if the person doesn't want to live at Apollonia City, if the person doesn't necessarily want to be in the UB enclave, I don't think anybody can send them there. If somebody wants to buy Oyarifa or Wager or North Legon, which is where he might be, it's unlikely that we could drag the person by the ear to Bijou. So I don't see a conflict. I mean, and besides, it's a huge market. I mean, we didn't talk about it, but the deficit is about 2 million. I mean, I don't know. It depends on who he's talking. I'm sure if you get Samia Megaipo, and I'm very glad he's logging in because he's an annual visitor to these forums. He will tell you how big the deficit is. It's huge. I mean, the last number I saw him put out was almost 5 million. So in that kind of situation, I don't think 100 houses really tips the scale in any meaningful way. I mean, the demand is real. Even if you don't believe the 5 million or 2 million number, it's somewhere around 500,000. So it's a very big number. And I don't think, even if all the developers together in Ghana build 100 houses or 200 houses, we could kill that demand. So there's a lot of market out there, and maybe what has happened in the past, and we have spoken about it openly, is that sometimes a developer would send a client to us. They would meet the frontline staff. The individual would present what they are looking to buy. They would also share their income and start the process. And they will be told, looking at the facts before the sales exec, that with your kind of income, you can't afford to buy this kind of house. Please either scale down or go for a different house because you just don't qualify. And in such cases, then granted, that individual might not go back to the developer. And we've had a long-running conversation with developers about this issue in particular, where the people they've sent to us don't necessarily qualify for the houses, and it happens from time to time. Either the income is insufficient or they have other obligations, financial obligations, which therefore mean they don't qualify to buy that house. Granted, we've sometimes been a bit sloppy with our communication, so we haven't gone back to the developer to say, the person you sent to us didn't qualify for the loan. Therefore, we've told them they don't qualify and you might not see them. And sometimes, too, the client doesn't tell us who send them to us. So we don't even know who to make that call to. So it's more complicated than he's making it sound. But otherwise, I don't see a conflict at all. I mean, it's a big market. There's huge demand, and I think there's enough room for us all.
And besides, you've also touched on it from the onset that, you know, should you want to acquire a property, should you want to acquire a property with as a group, please make sure that you come to the bank and inquire from the appropriate department on whether you qualify, and they would give you a whole list of properties that fall within your affordability bracket, so that, you know, time is not wasted, money is not wasted in doing all the due diligence and all the research that you need to do. So I think step one is ask the question about, you know, whether you can afford this property. I know that it's aspirational to want something within the comfort zone, as Kojo puts it, but sometimes it's about affordability and about what you can manage on a monthly basis. And sometimes we also forget that we have other expenses that we have to cater to. But I have a couple more questions that I'd like to mention at this point. So thank you very much for that question, Anthony Boateng. This question comes from Hamza Kamara. And Kamza says, I'm a developer looking to start a construction for corporates and employees. Does FNB have special mortgage products, group employees in the same company? Recent question, I'm not quite sure about the question, but to advise on pricing points and an upcoming development and possibly market to FNB employees. I'm not sure I understand your question, Hamza, so I'll go on to the next question at this point. Kweku Asian from Seso Global says, is the bank looking closely at marketing mortgage products to the diaspora? And on one hand, what about the African-American market, especially because of the year of return? So what they're saying is, are you marketing the portfolio of developments that you have under your portfolio to the diaspora, especially since we celebrated the year of return last year, and we are now supposed to be beyond the return? Are you marketing to the diaspora?
Yeah, I mean, the diaspora are a very key component of our business. And if Delali were to go through his calendar with you, he would show you events and specific campaigns targeted at the non-resident Ghanaian population. And actually, we have a meeting with Kweku this week. Maybe, I'm sure that's one of the things we'll be talking about. How do you reach the non-resident Ghanaians? Because they normally really need to understand how the market works here and how we can be of help to them. The African-American market is a whole new area that's opening up. It's very exciting, lots of prospects from there. We saw some of them when they came around for the year of return. So that's all a very new conversation which we are looking at as well. The question or the issue that the non-residents always have has to do with our interest rates.
Okay.
They're always quick to point out that in the US
it's much cheaper.
Yeah.
So why is it so?
Well, it's because it's economics, and I'm sure Kofi can give us a whole lecture on why that is so. Why it's cheaper to borrow in the US in dollars than it is to borrow in Ghana in dollars. It's their currency, the macroeconomic dynamics are completely different. That's one. And secondly, no matter where you go in the world, if you are borrowing from outside the country, if I want a mortgage in London, I will not pay what the people in London are paying because I'm non-resident. I'm a greater risk. In fact, most companies won't even talk to me. So it's the same thing. So yes, you are Ghanaian, but you don't live in Ghana, you live outside. So the rates are higher for that reason and many other reasons that are based on macroeconomics. But having said all of that, we still think it makes a lot of sense for a non-resident buyer to use the facility. I was on a call recently and I was telling them that it's not just about the money. It's about the partnership. The fact that if you're non-resident and you're looking to buy a house in Ghana, you need a partner, someone who will do the due diligence on your behalf. And that's what we do for you. So even if you're borrowing $10,000 or $20,000, it's not because you need us to provide you with that funding. But once we are putting our money in there, we'll do the searches, we'll do the surveys, we'll do the valuations, we'll check out your vendor. If we don't like it, it's probably not good for you. So we are your partners in this, and that's where the value add is. So the difference in interest rates, I wouldn't dwell too much on it.
It's a different environment and a different ecosystem altogether. But thank you so much. We have a comment from Mr. Samuel Amega Ibo, who's on behalf of the Executive Council of Greda. He wishes to congratulate FNB for the merger and for hosting the first Developers Forum. Greda is behind you, and the entire membership of Greda will maintain ties with FNB. Congratulations. Thank you so very much, Mr. Amega Ibo. Thank you so much for participating and for being with us throughout. Now, this has been truly exciting. I've had a lot of fun, but most importantly, I've gotten a lot of information from the entire team at First National Bank. And this is information I'd love to share with my family and my friends and loved ones. And also encourage you as much as possible to reach out and reach into the banking halls in Tema, Kumasi, Takrady, within your immediate communities for any information that you may require about home mortgage. And trust me, they're extremely friendly. That's why they say, First National Bank, how can we help you? But before we end the program today, I'd love to call back Jacinta. On to you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I listened keenly to everything that was being said. Make I no lie. I know to understand what's in the happen. I just hear mortgage, house, money, on a but I'm sure it's positive. Thank you guys so much. I always like discussing with bankers. You know, they always remind me of the money that I don't have. But it's okay. We give God the glory. I mean, who would have thought that I would have to be cracking jokes for people to be laughing at home? The world has changed. And all I can say right now is, Corona, your father. Seriously. Because I don't even know if people, they laugh. Even right here in the studio, everybody, they wear nose mask. If then they laugh, how won't take no? How will I be paid for this job? Corona, your father. But you know, in all of this, the only people who are not affected with the whole restrictions are the Ewe people. Put your hands together for Voltarians. Won't you clap for Voltarians? They're everywhere. Please clap for them. They are the only people that are still traveling. They are flying. You cannot stop them. Voltarians cannot be bound by law. They are the law. You know, I went to Volta region. I checked into a nice hotel, nice bathroom, everything. I got there. I had my bath. The towel was red. I finished bathing. I tied the towel. I called the receptionist. I said, you guys might as well give me the calabash now and some chalk so that I can complete this ritual, because I don't understand what is happening here right now. And have you noticed how all these sicknesses come with restrictions? Apollo, no looking. Bird flu, no chopping of fowl. HIV, no doing. Ebola, no touching. Now Corona, no existence. Why? Why? No, because the rate at which things are going, me and they fear say they will just bring one sickness now, no talking. Because already they are covering our mouth. How will somebody like me survive? Me that I talk for a living. How will I live? How will I survive? You know, but I'm happy today because, I mean, despite the corona, whatever, First National Bank was able to say, Jacinta, come and make people laugh. And even though I felt this has to be the most tough job ever, I was excited because I don't believe, say, this year I go get work. I was already considering coming to the bank to ask for work. I called one of the people I know. I called one of the people I know in your bank. I said, you people should just find me something to be doing to support my ministry. But First National Bank is one of the best banks. They're the only bank, you know, that when you go to withdraw money from the ATM, the service is different. My other banks, like Power Bank, when I go to withdraw money from the ATM, you know that thing the bank does? They send you a message to let you know that you've withdrawn so amount of money. You know, that my other bank, Power Bank. You know, when you withdraw money, you have to wait 2 weeks before they send you alerts that your money has been withdrawn. First National Bank, immediately you type your password, you type the amount. Before the money touch your hand like this, First National Bank will send you email and police reports that your money has been moved, just in case it's not you, so that you are at alert. So I'm happy. And I'm also happy that these people have been able to merge. Do you know what it is to bring two people together in unity? No, think about it. You as a man, you have not been able to bring your wife and your side chick together for success of your, you know. But look at what First National has done. They've been able to bring two independent, should I say, entities or companies together to do something good for you. And I'm here to leave you with this phrase. If First National Bank can do it, you can do it. Bring wifey and side chick together for progress and empowerment of your ministry. Thank you very much. My name is Jacinta, and it's been wonderful.
Jacinta, you do all. I was just, are you from Volta region?
No.
Are you sure? You're looking, but you're not. Jacinta, thank you so much for making this a fun-filled and quite educative and informative forum. At this point in time, there's a special prize going out to our participants that would be given to you, but we have some questions that we would like to ask you if you wish to participate. Now, whilst you put down your answers to the questions we're about to ask you, please make sure that you note the number of your question and you put your name right next to it. And I will start in a couple of seconds on the questions, and the questions are, I know this might sound very trivial, but even I at some point didn't quite know. So there it goes. Name 2 golf courses in Ghana. Name 2 golf courses in Ghana. You'd be surprised. The one that you're thinking about still exists, and yes, that's probably the right answer. Name 2 golf courses in Ghana. The second question is, who is the current CEO of First National Bank Ghana? Don't Google it. Please don't Google it. Who is the CEO of First National Bank Ghana? And my next question is, where is the head office of First National Bank Ghana? Where is the office of First National Bank Ghana? Don't forget to put down your answers in the chat room, and please put the number of the question right next to your answer. The final question is, the 2 biggest football clubs in Ghana, Asante Kotoko and Accra Hearts of Oak, which year were these 2 clubs founded? I'll repeat the question. The 2 biggest football clubs in Ghana, and I'm sure some people might dispute that, but the fact is the fact. Asante Kotoko and Accra Hearts of Oak, which year were the 2 clubs founded? So you have a couple of seconds to please go into the chat room and put down your answers to all of these questions. Don't forget that prizes will be given to you by Amantebia and Mawinya. You can reach them on the numbers that we provided you earlier on. Don't forget, as I said earlier on, please put down the number of your question and put your name right next to the answer. Do any of you... Oh, so these are their logos at the back over here. Nice.
Love is there.
So which one do you support?
Yeah.
Which one do you support? Which one do you support? Kotoko. I can't hear you.
Kotoko.
Oh, did he say Kotoko?
Yeah.
Which one? Who else supports Accra Hearts of Oak? So you obviously have the answer, but you can't participate.
Well, it's a logo, sir.
Sorry?
It's on their logo.
You know, I actually didn't notice that until you said it. 19-something. Right. 19-something in that century. Don't forget to please put your answers again in the chat room.
And FNB staff are not...
And FNB staff, by the way, are not allowed to participate. Yeah. We're going to go on a quick commercial break, giving you enough time to take down your notes for your answers. And please, don't Google the answers. I'll see you right back after this break. Once again, I'd like to say a very big thank you to all of the developers that joined us here live on this Property Developers Forum from First National Bank. I am truly humbled for having been chosen to host this event, and I'm glad for most of you that have been part of this event with us. It is extremely, we're very happy that you took the time to actually join us. It's been very, very resourceful and assuring. And if you have any further questions, we will always be available to help you. We hope that these value propositions provide you the necessary enablement to grow your business, help supply more homes to Ghanaians while driving growth for the real estate ecosystem. But before we go off, again, I'd like to say a big thank you to all the developers, all the participants, and especially to the lucky winner, who is Eddie Aqua of Westfields Estate, for being the lucky winner for today. Before we close, I'd like to call on Mr. Kojo Adokufua, who will give us his final words before we say goodbye. Kojo, over to you.
Thank you, Michelle. And I'd also like to add my thanks to all the developers who logged into this event. It's been very exciting, very first of its kind. We wish you a very successful year. I also like to say a big thank you to Michelle for joining us, and to Delali, the production team. Wonderful effort. It's been brilliant. It's been spot on in every respect. Now the hard work begins. Yes. We need to start going out there and try to make some money. So we'll be coming out to you to see how we can work together to grow our mutual businesses. And I wish everybody a successful year, and hope to see you at your various sites in the near future. And I also invite you to join us to this forum early next year, where hopefully we should be doing it face-to-face. Otherwise, we'll be in the same studio having this conversation one more time. So thank you very much, and hope to see you soon.
And lastly, as we always say at First National Bank, how can we help you? See you soon. Thank you.